Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thrive Live. Hi, we've got Jason and Ray today. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hello,
how are
everyone.
you? Hello.
Excellent. Excellent. Jason, how about the house in Florida? Are you guys good?
I think we're probably the only part of Florida that's being dodged. Like literally, I've seen that thing come in. I've seen Ian come in, and it looks like it's encompassing most of Florida. And so we're way to the Texas side, the Florida, Alabama side, and
Right.
so we're really out of the way. We may catch some, isolated rain and wind, but we're really blessed this time. We sat through Harvey, and then we sat through the last hurricane that was came through Florida that was on our side. So I've been through two of them, so I'm ready to not have a third for a while, but I'm sure mine will come up. Now, Ray, you seem to be in the eye of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Our place is in Inglewood, which has been plastered all over the news, and because it's just south of Sarasota, and so the storm seems to have, it started up north of Tampa, and now it's kind of come down, and I think it's going to hit further south in Port Charlotte, which is probably an hour away from our place. But
Right.
still, it's going to be brutal, and you know we're hoping that our little duplex kind of holds up, and it's all battened down. We got the shutters up and stuff off the lanai, and we'll hopefully it'll be okay. But just hoping everybody stays safe.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I remember during
Hurricane drinking party. That's what you do.
I
Yeah,
know. I
yeah,
was telling you, all of my friends in Florida are posting all these massive amounts of alcohol.
Yep.
And I'm like, I mean, I guess we kind of did that too during Harvey a little bit, but how do you handle an actual emergency if you're smoked,
yeah.
right? Like if you've had all the bourbon, like how can you possibly?
Yeah. I did that once, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of fun, but like I said, until you get into an emergency where you always have to function and you're just hammered, you're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, maybe this was not a good idea.
Oh, yeah. No, no, not for us. Not for us these days. We're too old for that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do remember during Harvey, we ended up with our a trampoline in our yard. So that was nice. Nice gift from the gods.
Yeah.
You end up with it's like everybody's on the neighborhood Facebook page, like, hey, whose float is this? Hey, whose trampoline is this?
Yeah.
Speaking of weather situations, we're talking about the IPO freeze.
Ooh,
Okay. You
Yes.
nicely
like that segment?
played.
I always try to do these wonky
You're
segues.
getting you're
Yeah,
getting good
yeah.
at
They
these.
never
Yeah,
really
you
hit,
really are.
right?
Yeah.
They never land properly,
No,
but
almost good.
oh, there we go. Hurricane landing. See?
Yeah.
There you go.
So the IPO freeze. Jason, this is one that a subject you wanted to talk about. So let's hear what you got to say, the IPO freeze.
No, I mean it's a real thing, and it has
Yeah.
started, and it's actually been going on for a while. Where the amount of IPOs happening in the system is really low to non-existent. So that really changes the nature of a lot of things that organizations are doing, especially those organizations that were potentially going to go IPO soon, and now they've extended that and potentially have to find more funding, or they have to figure out how they sustain the work that they're doing, and perhaps they're not going to hire as much, and they're going to be looking for more fungible models to be able to bring talent in. It really does have a downturn effect on a lot of other businesses, and a lot of dominoes come into place when the IPO market is pretty fuzzy. Ray, you want
Yeah.
to comment a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, some of the data that I looked at around this, in 2021, there was about $160 billion of value driven by IPOs. So that's 60 billion dollars that private equity companies got, founders
Mhm.
got, employees got. Uh, I think year to date, I think it's under $5 billion. So
Yeah,
talk
didn't the
about,
Wall
I
Street
mean,
Journal said it was down like
oh
87%
yeah,
or
I mean
something,
just a
wasn't
crazy number. Uh, and that's going to be, and for organizations that were planning for an IPO, uh, you know, a lot of times they're talking to their employees about, hey, there's going to be an event. it's going to be a liquidity event where you're going to get cash, so you're going to be able to get access to, some of this stock that, today is not really worth anything.
Right.
So, so from an employee perspective, it's huge because, you're going to have to reposition, your plans and make sure that you communicate with your employees, number one, and then number two, really start thinking about, how to retain your talent because now your talent could get a little loose in the saddle and they could start looking at other options.
Oh, that is
Uh,
happening. I've
yeah,
seen a couple of people that I know personally where they have updated their LinkedIn where they are at a new organization. And I know that the organization they were with was talking about IPO, and that has now dried up. And some of those people have been with that organization for a long time, expecting that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and they've left. It was pretty surprising to me, which basically shows that they don't have a really good short-term outlook for when they're going to go IPO. So, it may be 2 years before that market opens back up again, what some people are saying.
yeah. And then the other thing I think we got to, Jason talked a little bit about it too, but the thing that's going to be really important now for these companies is to really watch their cash burn because, you know, when you're well funded as a startup, you know, I mean, you're just throwing money at problems, throwing money to keep people happy. Uh, you know, you know, massages at the office, sending people, sugar wish packages every week to their homes. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're finding ways of many times to spend money. So that really has to change. You got to really watch your dollars, be a lot more conservative. And in some cases, you may have to go out, like Jason said, find new investors. And when you do that, you are diluting the value of the equity that you've given employees. So you've got to also communicate that. So, if my stock now is worth a third less, well, is it really going to be worth anything? So there's just a lot of challenges from an employee and keeping people engaged.
And the challenge there is a lot of times, or most of the times, the stock isn't worth anything until there's a liquidity event. So
Yeah,
most IPOs have it set up so that it doesn't trigger until something happens. I mean, there are the very few that allow you to do some sell back, but that's very few and far between. So if you've come in looking for that money in equity and you're not getting it for some time out, and perhaps you didn't take a big salary, in terms of financials, you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing. And so there's a strong reason that people start to exit when they're like, gosh, I'm actually losing money
yeah,
and I can't afford to ride this out. So it's a challenge. And I've been in that boat personally myself. So it's this really painful risk reward trade-off. Like, do I go and does something happen? Or, do I go and get more money? And you have a huge calculus that you have to look at individually about what's going to happen. And that's a difficult situation to be in.
Yeah, it's that gamble you take for the big payoff, but then you're gambling with your family's livelihood at a point, right? So
so true.
what's your advice to companies at this stage when they're having these issues as far as retaining
Talent. I mean,
and
I think what companies have got to do is, if you went in with the model, we're going to pay you low pay with a lot of equity,
Mhm,
uh, you may need to start rethinking that strategy. If the IPO event is going to be stretched out for 12 or 24 months,
mhm,
uh, you may need to start thinking about using some of your cash, uh, instead of all the office freebies, into base pay,
mhm,
and start to pay folks more competitively, so that you know you're putting, it's a little bit of a less risk of losing your talent.
mhm,
uh, so I think looking at compensation, looking at the market, ways that you can make changes to do that, that's number one. I think number two, you've also got to start thinking about, the whole work-life balance and mental health, because startups are notorious for killing folks
Yeah,
because
burnout, right.
you're gonna kill somebody for uh, for 2 years or 3 years, but then there's a payoff. Well, you really can't kill folks for that long. So maybe start adjusting hours, forcing folks to kind of take time off and have a little bit more balance because look at some different strategies because you will burn folks out and they will start looking for greener pastures very quickly.
Well, every startup that I've ever worked at, they have been incredibly frugal. So I never was at the one that got the
You
sugar
never
waste
got the good
package.
one, right?
No, I never got the good one. I always got the one that was basically like, get back to work.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
don't let us hear about it. So you're right. That happens a lot. They push, 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 push. I think that, if you're in a tight spot and you're not going to go IPO, you got to get funding. My advice to you, and a lot of the times once you're in that spot, you can't do raises. And it's transparency. I think is you be as transparent as you can. Like, well, look at this is where we're at. This is what's happening. And we believe it's going to be 18 months. It could be sooner. Give people a view of what you believe is realistically going to happen. A lot of companies just don't want to do that. And so people start to lose hope and they bail. And then or they start to make up alternative scenarios. So my advice is if you're management, if you're the board, be as transparent as you can. That will help out a lot. And then, at some point you're going to want to make that gamble. And, you got to decide when the right time is. I had in my, past, I had the opportunity to go to a company that was called Transmeta. And this was years and years and years and years ago when I was first starting out. And Transmeta invented the low power, low yield microchip. And they did phenomenally well. In fact, I would probably be retired 10 times over.
Clearly you said no.
Clearly I said no. Clearly I felt like that was, I just didn't have the gumption, or I didn't feel like it was going the right way. And so I still kick myself every morning when I get up on that decision. But you know what? It happens. So you're going to have ones that you say yes to that aren't going to work out. You're going to have ones that you say no to that are going to work out, and you'll have one that you'll say yes to and will work out. So you just have to, be confident in your choices and not look back. And I actually don't look back that much, but but I do from time to time.
What about employee surveys? Would now be a good time for an employee survey to kind of breach the retention discussion, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think on that one, be careful when you ask questions because
because you're going to get answers.
Because you're going to get answers. You're going to get feedback. If you're a startup and you don't know how your employees are doing, that's a problem. I mean, leaders
you should already be there. You should
be
in your company growth where you are not in touch with your employees. You should
exactly.
Yeah,
you should always be in touch with your employees. If you're a small startup, even 50 or 100 employees, that CEO, that CFO, that head of HR, they've got to spend time with their team, talking to them, seeing how they're doing, answering employee questions, having all hands meetings, submitting questions to those all hand meetings anonymously, because employees really, they'll tell you if you ask them. So I think that, spending time and effort on a survey is probably not time well spent for a smaller company. And oh, by the way, you're going to spend, $15,000 or $20,000, and you're like, well, I should have, used that to give salary increases. So, it's all about, where you put your dollars and where you invest.
So to put it in perspective, real quick.
So one of the things I'd add there, real quick, is that we're hearing out in the marketplace right now that there's less and less of an appetite for surveys and less of an appetite for engagement surveys, just because there's only so much you can do with those. I mean, you have the information, you have to make a change, you have to do something. So there is becoming less of a desire to do those, believe it or not. And then I would always say that, if you're in a startup environment or you're in an environment where you can have SurveyMonkey and you can ask a 5-question survey, every month or so, maybe even 3 questions, that's all you really need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything more than that. You should just be doing these mini pulse surveys, mini check-ins. They're a lot more effective, and they don't make people wait for answers to some fairly large engagement survey that you have and give everybody a false set of expectations. The pulse surveys are really where you want to be.
Yep, exactly.
So Ray, when you said 50 to 100 people, that triggered something for me. My son is a Boy Scout, right? And so in our Boy Scout troop, just as in comparison, our Boy Scout troop, all the adults are volunteers, right? These are Boy Scouts from 6th grade, all the way up to, high school level. And our Scoutmaster has a Scoutmaster conference, which is a one-on-one talk with nearby adult other supervision, because you're never alone with a kid, right? So one-on-one talk with an individual scout at least twice a year. And our scout troop is almost 100 kids. So he has at least 2 individual talks, sort of the state of the union of how their journey's going with every single kid throughout the year. And he's a volunteer who has a full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Put that into perspective of your livelihood, your company, your nest egg, your
exactly.
It's a good idea to maybe get to know your employees. If you have that few employees, just set that time out, make it mandatory, make it a priority.
Yep, exactly. I think leaders in startup organizations, a lot of times they're brought in because of their technical expertise. But I think now it's becoming more important that they have good relationships with their team, that they really understand them. What makes them tick, what gets them excited, and continue to feed that excitement,
Right.
and motivate them, because that's really, at the end of the day, the reason that employees stay. It's their relationship with their manager. You know, you got to pay them a fair wage and a good opportunity, but it still comes down to that relationship, and it's still critical. But yeah, I think folks in this situation really have got to, like Jason said, I mean, communication, 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 and once you forget that, communicate some more. So it's really about keeping folks informed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to make me rich, you better be nice to me.
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Well,
Yeah, and even the whole nice thing is off the table now. You got to be nice, period, because if not, folks will vote with their shoes. They're out of there.
Yeah, true.
well, we were at the VC conference in Houston about 2 weeks ago, and it was a really great conference. So there was a number of investors, a lot of investors actually, looking to get information from those folks working in the VC industry about how to fund their company. And so, one of the things amongst many of the things talked about was that you have to have a leader that engages with the team, and you have to have a leader that the VC feels comfortable about. I mean, it's no longer about the sort of the one size leader, really good operationally, but can't get the team motivated. So they look at that very carefully, and they are really want leaders who know everything about the business. They were very clear. You need to know everything about your business. You need to know the numbers. Obviously, you need to know about the employees. You need to know about the customer base. So, if you're getting ready to go IPO, that's probably, one thing. You're sort of past that stage. But if you have to go back and ask for more funding and look for more money, VCs are being more demanding than they ever have been before. And, they talk about this thing where they call it, omni-channel. And omni-channel is basically, we have to be marketing everywhere. So you can talk about marketing via email, but at the end of the day, it's email, it's social media, it's Twitter, it's TikTok, it's LinkedIn, it's phone calls, it's everything. So you have to be specialized, and you have to be doing, omni omni marketing. But the thing that they talked about is you have to be doing omni communications, and you have to be doing omni management, meaning that you really touch everything and are aware of everything in your organization. So it's really super important. And those people that have the money that you want are looking for those things. And so you have to be aware of it as you go through your process to potentially, get some funding or look for more funding before you get to IPO. And you have to manage your resources appropriately. And that's why we're pretty good for you, because we can come in and help take on a lot of activities that perhaps, maybe you don't want to hire a full-time TA team for, or a full-time HR team for. We can be, more financially feasible for you than bringing on regular staff. And if you want to get rid of us, you just tell us and we're done, and it's easy to move us, down the road. But that's for your benefit. And that's why we set it up that way, so that if you don't need us, you don't have to think about severance. You don't have to think about getting somebody off the books. You don't have to think about covering, medical benefits for somebody for, another month. So for instance, in the state of Texas, it is now Texas law that if you terminate somebody, they are entitled to a month of health benefits. So in the past, if you terminated in the middle of the month, your benefits would be done almost immediately, but that's not the case anymore. So a lot of other states are moving to that. So there's cost associated with any time that you move somebody off the books. So we can be more cost efficient for you and give you a lot more, what I would say, abilities with our team, just because they have so much experience in the areas that they're in. You're not just getting one person who's good at something who comes in but is your HR director, and perhaps you really don't need that person. So we feel good about our model.
Yeah, and just to give everybody a sense of what we're doing, I mean, yesterday we did an open enrollment meeting with a bunch of employees from one of our clients. They've got about 25 employees in the U.S., and we're basically offering them their new benefits, talking to them about exactly what's available. First time that's ever happened with this firm that's been around for 20 years. I mean, they've always just kind of let the employees do it themselves. So now we're doing a much more proactive approach, so that they actually learn and can value what the company is providing. The company pays 90% of their benefits. So so we're really pushing on that, and letting people know that there's a lot of value here. So that's one. I mean, at the same time, we're working on an M&A transaction in France. So we're helping an organization prepare to acquire a technology company in France, with all of the complexities of EU law. And then at the same time, we had payroll for two of our firms, and so one of our team members ran payroll for this week. So so we've got a really diverse group with excellent skills,
and we're hiring, and we have our TA team that's
Yeah.
constantly hiring for
Exactly.
folks and for
Exactly.
positions out there, and we're doing outsourced TA. So we're able to do a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're when are we going to France again? What was that? I didn't.
And they're based in Paris on top of that. I mean, what a deal. We got to go.
I'm definitely going in July, because that's where my vacation is going to be this year. So yes. So, but yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Nice. Well, my vacation will be here. No, right here at this desk. No.
Well, it's good. We always have to have somebody looking after the
there
home
you
front.
go. Yeah. Holding everything down.
Checking the mail, watering the plants, feeding the dog.
Anybody in the entire area who needs pets or plants taken care of, it's me, because I never leave. No, we're thinking about going back to Scotland this year, but prices are out of control. So, we could get a family vacation in Scotland to visit our family, or we can go somewhere else really super cool for the same amount of money. So weighing that around. But we love our family.
Yeah. That's a big balance.
We love our family, but not that much.
Our family, but Zoom works too. So
well, good.
All right.
So thanks, guys, for this topic. Thanks, Jason, for this topic. I appreciate it. Good choice. I was reading more about it in that Wall Street Journal article, and so more for me to learn as well on my end.
Yeah, I mean,
Great.
it's unfortunate because there's a lot of companies that want to move forward and go public, and it's a dream that a lot of people have, and a lot of people work really really hard to get there, and they sacrifice a lot, and when it goes on hold, and I've been there when it's gone on hold, and it's frustrating. It really is frustrating.
Yeah.
You really have a hard time keeping your enthusiasm level up. So we understand it. I've been there personally, and so hopefully things will improve, and we get your plight, and we feel your pain.
Yep. And
Yep,
now
exactly.
my cat. Did you see that? That was my cat because I didn't let the cats away. Last time it was the dogs who are now outside. Now it's the cat. Like, hey, let me show you my face on the camera. Life at
Gotta
home.
love it. Gotta love it.
Life with pets.
Life with pets. Life with pets. It's better than when my daughter came down during that one of our first shows. My daughter came down. It was a Saturday morning, and she stands right in front of the other side of my camera, eating a jar of marshmallow fluff for breakfast. So off camera, my hand is doing the mommy no finger, like, you better go put that marshmallow fluff back in the pantry.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just smiling. My finger in the background, and her eyes, I could see out of my peripheral, go like this.
Oh,
Like, oh, I better go put that marshmallow fluff back.
I didn't think she could stop me while she was on camera, but she can.
Exactly.
She's got mom powers.
That's right. Mom powers are the best.
Eyeballs. I've even got mom powers when I work college basketball and I see a group of kids behind my talent who are about to go on camera, and they've all got like a beer in their hand, and I know their plan is to chug the beer on camera or something completely inappropriate. And I look at them and I go, "Don't think about it." And they're like, "Yes, ma'am." Yes, ma'am.
There was this was actually interesting to some extent. Well, I watched 4 football games last weekend, which was a lot for me. I didn't watch every single one from start to end, but tuned in at various times because they were all teams that I had a rooting interest for. So all 4 of them lost. So this is just a tip. If you would like to hire me to root for an opposing team, hire me, because your team will lose. But what the story that I wanted to tell you was they were showing the UT crowd, and they were sweeping the stadium, and they stopped at these 2 girls with cowboy hats on, and they were super pretty, and they were like partying, and just at that point, there was a great play by Texas Tech, and it was Texas Tech, and so the girls flipped the bird as soon as they panned on them. They both did a double flip of the bird. And I'm like, oh my God, that's just priceless. Priceless.
The delay did not work to edit that one.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
So in some games we have a 5-second bump. So we have a 5-second delay in some games, but not in all the games.
Clearly that one did not have it.
No, I didn't have it.
Yeah. Because occasionally one of the jobs I do is to count back in and out of break. And so my producer's at 10, and when he gets to 5, I have to get to 10. So he's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And then I'm like 10, 9, while he's still counting down. So although it sounds easy to count down from 10, hearing somebody at 4 when you're at 9, your brain is like, is that the right word? Yeah, so some games do have it and some don't, but there's, and sometimes you look and you think, like I told some young boys one time at one of the games, I go, your grandmother's not watching you. You don't have to act like a goofball on air. Like, chances are nobody you really know is watching you right now, buddy. Or your grandmother saw you do that. You better cut it out. People are nuts, but
they are.
Topic. Hope everything goes well with Hurricane Ian and that everyone is safe. We'll get an update next week on your homes and properties and families in that area. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.